When you get a chance, you get some ideas for that bit. Yeah, I'm sure. That's from the other guys.
There's one well, there's 5 spots.
Hi everybody, I'm Paul from Uni and I'm chairing this panel on the first and last 10%. Isn't it a good book? You'd say, oh yeah, okay. Everyone seen The Hungry Caterpillar?
Yeah.
We're in a library. If you haven't, you definitely need it. Okay, and firstly, I'd like to introduce Adam. I can put it almost everything. He's the creator of Flixel, which is an API library, sort of really complex thing to Flash, which makes life easier. Yeah, so he's also part of the Flash Game Dojo, or creator?
Like co-creator.
Co-creator of Flash Game Dojo, and working as 76 software at the moment. Next we've got Joslin, creator of Training Data and Training Data 2, and currently creating Undefined, so we're not allowed to know yet, but it's got to be good now. Next we've got Macbride. He's worked with Voxel Agent, Green Simon, Tampers, Trip Switch, and he's currently a designer for She Interactive. Thank you. And lastly on the end we've got Nathan. Started off as an industrial designer and background designer. He's worked for Creature Labs, Tantalus Games, and Transmission Games. Well, I can't write myself. And he's known for games such as Silent Hill 2, the Pacific game, Heroes Over the Pacific, and Creatures 3. And he's currently an art director at Fiscal Games. Yep. And he's also working on IP we're not allowed to know about. So, as we said, today is about the first and last 10%. So, for a start, we're going to figure out exactly what they are. So, what is the first 10%?
For me, it's like first 10% is usually I'm procrastinating on another project because we're in the last 10% of that, and I have an idea for something I want to do, and I check email until noon, so I'm still procrastinating, and then after lunch I spend about 4 to 6 hours just roughing out a thing, put in colored squares so you can press buttons and stuff happens, and see if it sucks, or if there's something there that I can come back to, or something there that I can grow.
Simon?
Hi. The first 10% for us is basically like the stage where you come up with the ideas and then you quickly try and test them. And that's the broad kind of idea of it. For us, that's generally trying to brainstorm ideas. In the ideal world, we all brainstorm together and come up with as many ideas as we can, and then take the best couple and actually try and make them as prototypes. But currently, we're actually going through a 10% now, and we've had quite a few ideas sort of working in the past, because we've been working on Crank It Up for a year now, basically. We've had quite a few ideas like kind of thrilling, so we're now prototyping now and making them. But we haven't actually been to a brainstorming stage in a while, so we jumped straight to prototyping.
My experience of the first 10% is actually sort of a bit varied, but I guess that the strongest approach to that for me would be somewhere between these two guys here being the independent studio and the own studio, the work for hire studio. In most cases, is quite a lot of pitching and quite a lot of prototyping in the sense of making something very simple to show the person you're pitching to, which isn't necessarily the ideal prototype engine for something a lot of the time. Usually it's something that's very quick, very thrown together, and trying to speak to something straight off the bat for the person you're pitching to, I guess.
Yeah, like Rob said, I think it does vary very much depending on what part of the industry you fall into. And I think the benefit of wholly owned studios and independent guys is that you don't have that the publisher having something in the mix where there's an expectation from the beginning of pre-production is part of production, where it definitely isn't. The first 10% is really, I'm going to be talking probably more from an art side of things than a design side, but it's really determining what is going to differentiate you from other games, getting your core mechanics down, all very much in white box, but also having a good understanding of your tech and what the engine can do from an art point of view before you actually go into production, because it's all well and good to have a whole lot of big ideas of what this thing is going to be, but without understanding the strengths of the tech you're going to be building on, you can end up in a really, really bad place further down the line. My experience really in the industry is that pre-production, which is the first 10%, is far too short, and in reality, if you're talking about a timeline, that first 10% of the actual pre-production should really be about as long as the rest of the production, is really narrowing it down, but reality can't exactly that.
Yeah, I think there's it's probably going to take us way off the track, but I think there's I just found I was trying to write a book with my friend, and they're bringing us the most insane ideas, and game design has a lot of, I think, these same problems, even at a high level where they're trying to make them this really proper serial process, but first 10%, last 10% is actually kind of a weird idea or weird question in the first place. It's really useful to think about, but it's odd because it makes it sound like the game is like a yardstick or a ruler, and the first 10% of it is like a progress meter, like the thermometer next to the fundraiser, and it just steadily goes up in a linear fashion. And I don't think it's the case, even in the best case, we have tons of money, tons of people, we've done 4 games that are all in the same style, we know what we're doing. Even then, it's not like the first 10% of the game actually crawls up. And you're okay, we're 10% complete now, that's level 1, let's do level 2. It's just everything's too fluid and too weird for that to work even.
I just wanted to add to that. I totally understand where you're coming from. The game, because it's a creative process, can sometimes just branch out on you and suddenly you end up in a different direction from what you thought you were going to be. And things can get a bit, they go a bit different, they go a bit crazy compared to what you expected. But I think maybe, in our experience at least, the 10% at the start is just I've got an idea, is that a decent idea? And the last 10% is, holy crap, there's 100 bugs, and there's about 1 million tasks still polished that I'd like to do to the game. And so it's just capping that process. It goes crazy in the middle, and you don't know where you're going to go within that. But yeah, I guess it's kind of a similar point of view we've had, just that you don't know what to expect. But I guess for us, 10% on either end is just the bookends.
It's almost like it can only be viewed after you're done. When the project is actually done, if the project itself is this weird, giant inverse pyramid where you started with a thing, you had this huge possibility space to explore. A lot of the time we don't know what our first 10% was until we're done, and we can actually go back and go, oh, this is the path we took through this space, so this was actually the first 10% because we did all of these things and then those were thrown away and this idea didn't work at all, and I want to put this in, and just ran out of time because it's Thursday already.
Would you guys say that pitfalls of having that creative freedom as indies would potentially be overscoping? Do you find that you've got all the time in the world to make this as fantastic as possible? You could spend forever in that first 10%.
The danger for us is that the 10% we never officially cap it off, and then the 10% bleeds into the 50-60%, and we're still prototyping, and the program's are you going to lock down the design at any point? They're yeah, soon, I promise. It's going to happen. But it's because it's the creative thing, like you never want to officially go, yeah, this is exactly the game, it's never going to change. So it's like a tendency for that 10%, that prototyping phase, just to bleed out. And I'm assuming through a lot more experience, we'll get better at being able to close it off earlier. Maybe, maybe not.
I think it's hard. Like, I mean, even if I've done like maybe 15 Flash games, but they go, oh, I've never made a puzzle game before, and now all of my expectations about what's 10% are completely out the window because I have no idea what I'm doing. So I did like a rough prototype. And I'm like, this has to be at least like the first 10%. This is totally the core idea, and handed out to a bunch of people, got a bunch of feedback. I was like, okay, I'm actually like a 1%. So I'm like, spent another 2 days on it and sent it out. And I'm like, definitely this is like 10%. This is my solid prototype right here, and got it back. And it was like, okay, I'm actually like 2%. Like, and it's gonna be like this constant iterative process of like, I don't know how long it's or how many tries it's gonna take to even like get the idea that I can start doing pre-production on for this particular game. It's too far outside of my previous design experience.
I was just sort of thinking about there is a when there's investors and there's people involved too, and external publishers especially. There is sometimes the pre-production. It seems like that time from an outsider's point of view where stuff isn't, a game isn't being made. And I think that I've worked in companies where it's almost been, I'll just hurry up and get pre-production out of the way because we've got a whole team of artists sitting there and we can't do anything with them. It's kind of like I remember being a kid and playing around on Commodore 64 and I used to make games and because we were so inexperienced, we'd go, cool, we've got a barbarian, we've got a castle, we've got a dragon, great, we've got a game, let's go. Within about 3 weeks, obviously, you don't have a game at all, and when you got a nice looking character of a dragon and a barbarian and a castle, and it doesn't actually do anything. I think that on the flip side, where Simon, you were saying that the bleed of that into it is the opposite, and trying to find that balance is actually a lot harder than you think. And since I've moved to Visceral, one of the great things, though frustrating as well, is we'll go down a path and we'll white box it all out. We'll have a good chunk of the art there. We'll have a whole bunch of mechanics there, and then we'll have to present that internally, and they'll either greenlight us or they'll shut us down. So, and over the course of the project I'm working on at the moment, we've been reset 2 or 3 times. Ultimately, what we've got now is awesome. Like, we're really, really happy with the direction going. Everybody's really motivated by it, and we think we're on the right path. But working definitely in smaller studios, that you don't have that opportunity to just completely reset and start again because people have already started paying their money. On the far end of the scale, on the Indian side of the scale, I mean, you do have that benefit, but the hard thing is then choosing that time to lock down. Okay, we are now making a game, and not having the external pressure to go, okay, we need to have things in place by this date, then we can review it correctly. And I have done some indie stuff on the side, and it's a nice diversion from the hard and fast, and it is hard to remain focused sometimes.
I mean, I should throw out, like, I've literally never finished anything that didn't have external constraints. Like, every time, like, all these ideas where we really sat back and just let it slowly, organically germinate, I've never finished one. Everything that's been finished has been something where I was like, oh crap, my next project starts like on Tuesday, so I have till Monday to get this thing done. And that's when, that's our sort of almost like our artificial constraint that, that I brought on that actually forces me to go through and go, okay, no. Okay, we're focusing just on these 2 things. This is the core, this is the meat of the thing that's actually gonna work. So, I mean, like I'm naively optimistic that these slow organic things are going to turn into something really cool eventually, but maybe they're just gonna be like the same, it's gonna like keep being, it's gonna be like 7% by like next fall. It's still not gonna be there. I don't actually know.
You were saying earlier about, a lot of the products